In the roaring zeros, when Hollywood's brightest stars gleamed like diamonds on the red carpet, there was a man who seemed to have vanished without a trace: Brendan Fraser. A man who once stood atop the world, his radiant smile and boundless charisma had earned him the adoration of millions. Yet, as the new millennium unrolled, it appeared as if he had slipped through the cracks, lost to the sands of time like an ancient relic. The coastlines held many whispers of his demise, yet few had seen the storm that brewed beneath his calm exterior. As the world reveled in the glitz and glamour of the silver screen, Brendan Fraser battled his own private torment, a struggle so fierce it threatened to consume him entirely. The Zeros had published hardly any literature dedicated to this man who was once as familiar as one's own reflection. Yet the community, though often fractured and elusive, would find ways to contribute their pieces to the puzzle that was Brendan Fraser's life. In a world where fame was fleeting and fortunes could change in an instant, Brendan stood resolute, his spirit unbroken. But it was not always so. For years he had danced with the gods of cinema, his every move watched by the discerning eyes of the masses. His face graced magazine covers, and his name echoed through the hallowed halls of power. Yet, beneath the glossy veneer, there lay a heart heavy with secrets, a soul yearning for redemption. The Zeros would bear witness to his fulcrum grace as if he had been cast down from the heavens themselves. But even in darkness, there is hope, and within that hope lies the promise of resurrection. For it was said that Brendan Fraser, though lost to many, had not given up on himself, a testament to resilience, ambition, and the indomitable human spirit. As the Zeros drew to a close, whispers of a comeback began to circulate, fueled by the fires of hope that burned within the hearts of his fans. They refused to let go, to abandon him to the shadows. For they knew deep within their souls that Brendan Fraser's story was not yet over. And so, as the curtain rose on a new decade, the world held its breath, waiting for the return of a legend who had dared to fall and rise again. Little did they know, the greatest chapter in his life was still to be written, a tale of struggle, triumph, sacrifice, and, ultimately, redemption. The story of Brendan Fraser, the man who had touched the stars but refused to let them define him. In the sun-drenched valleys of British Columbia, a small town cradled the Fraser family, a lineage as profoundly rooted in its earthy, untamed surroundings as it was intertwined with one another's lives. Brendan, born into this close-knit community, found himself birthed from parents who embodied resilience and dreaming spirit / a 2014, a combination that would shape his life more intricately than the rugged landscapes that surrounded him. His father, a man of few words, worked tirelessly on the family's homestead, nurturing the land with calloused hands and weary eyes as his mother painted dreams onto canvas with vibrant colors and boundless imagination. The household was a testament to the dichotomy of the human spirit / a 2014 survival in the face of adversity and the unrelenting urge to create beauty amidst struggle. Growing up, Brendan witnessed firsthand the sacrifices that his parents made to ensure their family's security, the quiet resilience that permeated every aspect of their lives. His father's labors were more than just a means to survive. They were an homage to his ancestors who had wrestled with the same hardships before him. Meanwhile, his mother's artistry was more than simply creative expression. It was an escape from the harsh realities that surrounded them, a beacon of hope in their darkest hours. As the seeds of ambition were planted within Brendan's heart, he began to envision a life beyond the boundaries of his small town. It was this spark, ignited by love, pressure, and the need to escape, that would fuel his relentless pursuit of dreams and set him on a journey that would forever change the course of his life. In the quaint town of Indianapolis, nestled amidst the rolling hills of Indiana, a new life breathed its first on December 3, 1968. The air was crisp and cold, carrying with it an expectancy that seemed to hang heavy over the town. A baby boy, Brendan James Fraser, was about to enter a world that was as vast and unpredictable as the universe itself. As the midwife cradled the tiny, wriggling form in her arms, a wave of emotions washed over the gathered family. Tears glistened in their eyes, and hope danced in their hearts as they gazed upon their newborn son. Little did they know that this frail, vulnerable creature was destined to conquer the uncharted territories of life with a ferocity and grace that would leave even the most stoic of observers in awe. Brendan's childhood was marked by an idyllic innocence that is so often lost as time marches on. He grew up in a modest home, surrounded by the love of his parents, Carol Mary and Peter Fraser. The family was close-knit, their bond forged through shared laughter and tears, triumphs and tribulations. It was here, amidst the warmth and comfort of his early years, that the first glimmers of Brendan's indomitable spirit began to emerge. As a child, Brendan was a bundle of energy and curiosity, always eager to explore the world around him. He was a dreamer, his mind filled with fantastical visions of far-off lands and grand adventures. Yet beneath this vibrant exterior lay a quiet determination that would one day propel him to greatness. Life, however, would not be without its challenges for young Brendan. It is said that the seeds of resilience are often sown in the most difficult of soil, and so it was for our protagonist. He faced trials and tribulations at a tender age, lessons that would prepare him for the battles yet to come. One such challenge presented itself on the playground, where Brendan found himself engaged in a heated game of dodgeball. As the rubber balls whizzed through the air, striking their intended targets with painful precision, Brendan stood his ground. His small frame quivered with anticipation as he prepared to face another onslaught. It was then that something inside him stirred. A fire ignited within him, a spark of determination that would not be extinguished. With a ferocity that belied his years, Brendan leaped into action. His lithe body twisted and turned as he dodged the incoming projectiles. His eyes locked onto the ball with an intensity that was downright mesmerizing. And then, in a moment of pure brilliance, Brendan struck. He hurled himself at the ball, his small arms outstretched, and sent it careening across the playground. The other children stared in astonishment as Brendan stood triumphant amidst the chaos. It was in that moment, as he surveyed the battlefield he had just conquered, that Brendan Fraser truly began to come alive. The world would soon bear witness to his journey, a journey marked by struggle, triumph, sacrifice, and personal redemption. But for now, our young hero simply basked in the warmth of his parents' love and the promise of a life filled with boundless possibilities. In the shimmering glow of Hollywood's golden age, a man named Brendan Fraser stood tall amidst the colossal figures that graced the silver screen. His radiant charisma and magnetic presence had earned him accolades and adoration from millions worldwide. Yet, beneath this dazzling veneer of success there lay a torrent of emotions that threatened to consume him. The 2000s were a time when Brendan's star burned brightest. Blockbuster after blockbuster cemented his status as a leading man. Films like The Mummy, George of the Jungle, and Gods and Monsters echoed with laughter, applause, and the sweet symphony of box office success. However, amidst the glitz and glamour, there was a whispering wind that carried the scent of something amiss. The community surrounding Hollywood's shoreline buzzed with whispers and rumors. It was a world where truth could be as elusive as the horizon, and it was here that Brendan would find himself ensnared in a web of intrigue, betrayal, and secrets that would change his life forever. In a fateful twist of fate, Brendan's trust was betrayed by someone close, leaving him shattered and vulnerable. Heartbroken, he retreated from the limelight, seeking solace in the sanctuary of silence. The world continued to spin, oblivious to his pain, as Brendan grappled with the ghostly specter of loss that haunted his every waking moment. As the years drifted by like leaves upon a stream, Brendan found himself adrift on a sea of loneliness, his once unshakable self-worth now crumbling beneath the weight of despair. Yet, amidst this tempest of sorrow, there were glimmers of hope that refused to be extinguished. For it was during these darkest hours that love would find its way into Brendan's heart, offering him a lifeline in his time of need. A woman, radiant and resilient, entered his life like a ray of sunlight breaking through the gloom. Their love story bloomed in secret, nurtured by stolen glances and whispered words of affection. Together they found solace, healing, and a connection so profound that it transcended the boundaries of time and circumstance. However, the pain of his past would not be so easily vanquished. The specter of betrayal continued to cast its long shadow over Brendan's heart, threatening to tear him asunder once more. In a final act of defiance, he reached deep within himself, summoning the courage and resilience that had seen him through darker days. With tears in his eyes, he decided to reclaim his life and confront the demons that had held him captive for so long. And so, Brendan began the arduous journey towards redemption and self-discovery. As he navigated the treacherous waters of fame, betrayal, and love, he found solace in the knowledge that even in darkness there was always hope. It would take years, but eventually the light would break through the gloom, guiding him back to the shore of happiness and healing. The world would once more bear witness to the indomitable spirit of Brendan Fraser as he graced the screen with his return in The Whale. A testament to resilience, perseverance, and the power of love, Brendan's story serves as a beacon of hope for those who dare to dream, to heal, and to rise from the ashes of their past. In the pulsating heart of Hollywood, where dreams are forged and fortunes won, a young man named Brendan Fraser found himself an underdog in a realm brimming with giants. The 2000s were looming on the horizon, and with them, the promise of a new era. But for Brendan, it was a time of struggle, of fighting tooth and nail to make a name for himself amidst a sea of talent. Born and bred in Canada, Brendan had always been captivated by the allure of the silver screen, a magnetic pull he couldn't ignore. His journey began as a humble extra, trudging through long hours on set, scarcely earning a living wage but nurturing his dreams with every passing day. It was a life filled with silent hours of tireless practice, endless auditions that often ended in rejection, and the stinging whispers of doubters who questioned his ability to make it big. But there were those who believed, those who saw something special in the young man from Canada. One such individual was famed director John McTiernan, who saw potential in Brendan's raw talent and offered him a role in the action-packed adventure film, The Mummy. It was the break that almost never came, a moment of sheer fortune that catapulted Brendan into the limelight. As the world bore witness to his transformative performance as Rick O'Connell, the intrepid hero in the Mummy franchise, Brendan became an overnight sensation. Yet, beneath the glitz and glamour, the young actor knew that success wasn't built on fleeting moments of fame, but on the unrelenting pursuit of perfection and the relentless hunger to prove his doubters wrong. The road ahead was fraught with challenges, each more daunting than the last. From portraying a superhero in George of the Jungle to delivering a nuanced performance as a man struggling with his sexuality in Gods and Monsters, Brendan's roles spanned the gamut of human emotion, reflecting his own struggles and triumphs. And so, as the 2000s waned, Brendan stood at the precipice of stardom, a beacon of resilience and determination in an industry that often chews up and spits out its underdogs. His story was a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who dare to dream, to those who refuse to let fear or doubt deter them from chasing their destiny. For Brendan Fraser, it was merely the beginning of an epic journey that would endure the tests of time and solidify his status as a Hollywood icon. In the radiant throes of the 2000s, Brendan Fraser stood atop the world. His visage graced magazine covers, his name echoed in the hallowed halls of Tinseltown, and his presence lit up screens large and small. Yet, just as swiftly as stardom had ascended, it seemed to vanish without a trace leaving behind an emptiness that reverberated through the very core of Brendan's being. The years that followed were largely devoid of public documentation, their silence only broken by the faintest whispers from the far corners of Hollywood's sprawling landscape. The community, though vast and influential, often played a part in shaping the narratives that unfolded on its shores. Brendan, a man whose very essence seemed to be forged from resilience and ambition, found himself grappling with unimaginable pain and uncertainty. A series of injuries, both physical and emotional, plagued him, leaving him bruised, battered, and broken. The wounds ran deep, not just in his body, but also in his spirit. One fateful day, as he stood before the cameras, poised to deliver a performance that would etch his name into history, disaster struck. In a matter of moments, everything he had worked so hard for seemed to evaporate, leaving him exposed and vulnerable. The world watched in stunned silence as Brendan crumpled beneath the weight of public failure, his once bright star eclipsed by the crushing darkness that threatened to consume him whole. In the years that followed, Brendan was forced to confront a harsh truth. He had become a shadow of his former self. His career, once on the cusp of immortality, lay in ruins, and he struggled to find solace or purpose in a world that seemed to have turned its back on him. Yet, within the depths of despair, an indomitable spirit remained. Brendan clung to hope, refusing to let go even when all seemed lost. Slowly but surely, he began to rebuild, piecing together the fragments of his shattered life and forging a new path forward. And then came the whale, a role that would test the very limits of his talent, courage, and resolve. As he prepared to dive once more into the deep waters of Hollywood, Brendan knew that he stood on the precipice of something extraordinary / 2014 or perhaps catastrophic. The stakes were high, the odds stacked against him, but one thing was certain: no matter what awaited him on the other side, he would face it with the fierce determination and unwavering spirit that had defined his life thus far. In those quiet moments before the curtain rose, as Brendan stood backstage, heart pounding and palms sweating, he could feel the weight of the world upon him. But as he stepped onto the stage, under the blinding lights and the watchful gaze of 1,000 eyes, he knew that there was no other place he would rather be. For this was his battlefield, his arena, and he would fight with every ounce of strength and every drop of blood coursing through his veins to claim victory once more. And as the final curtain fell, and Brendan stood bayed in applause, he knew that he had done it. Against all odds, he had triumphed / 2014 not just for himself, but for all those who dared to dream, who refused to let go of hope, and who believed in the power of the human spirit to rise above adversity time and time again. For Brendan Fraser, the 2000s were a time of glory and despair, of triumph and heartache. They were years that tested him to his very core, but also served as a crucible from which he emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. And though the road ahead may still be long and fraught with challenges, one thing is certain: as long as Brendan Fraser draws breath, he will continue to fight / 2014 for himself, for his dreams, and for the indomitable spirit that lies within us all. In the twilight of the 2000s, a solitary figure, Brendan Fraser, found himself standing on the precipice of obscurity. A near mythic luminary whose radiance had once illuminated the silver screen, he now dwelt in the shadows, his name seldom heard outside the confines of a whisper. Yet within the close-knit communities along Hollywood's sun-kissed shores there remained a smoldering ember of hope, a spark that refused to be extinguished, a band of dreamers who believed in the power of redemption and the indomitable human spirit. One fateful day, as the first light of dawn painted the horizon in hues of gold and crimson, Brendan found himself in the midst of a creative crucible, laboring tirelessly on a project that held the potential to rekindle his stardom or seal his fate in oblivion. The weight of expectation hung heavy upon him, as thick and suffocating as the autumn mist that clung to the hills above Los Angeles. With the clock ticking and each passing moment bringing the reality of failure ever closer, Brendan steeled himself for the battle ahead. He drew upon the resilience forged during years of struggle, the determination honed through countless rejections and setbacks, and the unwavering belief that had carried him through the darkest nights. And then it came /up 2014, a moment that would forever be etched into the annals of cinema history. The call to action that would send ripples through the hearts of millions and leave an indelible mark upon the soul of one man, seeking redemption and a second chance at greatness. The day was warm and bright, as if the heavens themselves had bestowed their blessings upon Brendan in his hour of need. As he stood before the cameras, eyes fixed on the horizon, heart pounding like a drum, he could feel the tension crackling in the air, the silence that hung heavy before the roar. With a deep breath, he stepped forward and allowed himself to become a part of something greater than himself. He embraced the character that had been entrusted to him, surrendering to the power of storytelling and the transformative magic that lay within its grasp. As the cameras rolled and the world bore witness to his performance, Brendan felt the weight of expectation lift from his shoulders, replaced by a sense of liberation and triumph. He had fought for this moment, clawing his way back from the brink of obscurity, and now it was here /up 2014, everything he had ever strived for, wrapped into one unforgettable day. In the years that followed, Brendan would go on to conquer new frontiers in the realm of acting, leaving an indelible mark upon the hearts of millions. But for this one glorious moment, he stood as a beacon of hope and resilience, a testament to the power of perseverance and the human spirit's insatiable hunger for redemption. In the radiant glory of the 2000s, Brendan Fraser stood tall, his beaming smile illuminating the silver screen. His charismatic charm had enchanted audiences worldwide, cementing him as one of Hollywood's most beloved figures. Yet, in the subsequent years, a sudden silence echoed across the film industry. There was scarcely any new literary work dedicated to the man, and his absence from the limelight grew ever more profound. The shoreline whispers with tales of communities that once adored him, eagerly awaiting his return. Yet, as the sun sets on each day, their hopes dwindle, replaced by a gnawing curiosity about what befell the man they cherished so dearly. Brendan Fraser's decline was a slow dance with the shadows, a gradual slip away from the limelight that left him almost unrecognizable to his admirers. It is said that he coped with this descent by immersing himself in a newfound passion for sculpture, carving intricate masterpieces with the same intensity and focus that once graced his acting performances. In the twilight of his career, Brendan Fraser's identity began to evolve. He no longer sought the spotlight, but instead found solace in the quiet corners of creativity, nurturing a newfound appreciation for the simple, human beauty that lay hidden beneath the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. His legacy, however, remains a resplendent beacon that continues to captivate the hearts of millions. The world remembers him not only as an exceptional actor, but also as a man who dared to dream, who soared to great heights before gracefully descending to walk among us once more. As we stand on the precipice of Brendan Fraser's latest triumph with The Whale, one cannot help but wonder if this return heralds the beginning of a new chapter in his storied life. Will he continue to captivate audiences, or will he once again retreat into the shadows? One thing is certain: Brendan Fraser has left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness, and for that we are forever grateful. My dearest reader, as we close this chapter in the extraordinary life of Brendan Fraser, I find myself reflecting on the tumultuous waves that have carried us through his remarkable journey, from the dizzying heights of stardom to the depths of personal turmoil, and finally back into the warm embrace of the world stage with The Whale. His tale has struck a chord within each of us, a shared resonance of hope, resilience, and the indomitable human spirit. Let us not forget this extraordinary man as we turn the page on another captivating tale. Subscribe to our channel or return for more stories that delve into the human experience, for it is in these connections that we truly find ourselves. With heartfelt gratitude and admiration, Elizabeth.